Hello and welcome to Exposed News Outlet, where we shed light on topics that matter most. I'm your host, Andrea. Today, we'll explore JPMorgan's Epstein Scandal. But before we do, if I could just ask for you to please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Go ahead and like this video. It can help to get it elevated to the algorithms. And be sure to share this video on your social media platforms if you would really enjoy it. Thank you. Also, for those interested, I'll leave my fundraiser link in the description box below. If you're able to help out, thank you. And without further ado, let's get to the video. New bombshell reporting from the New York Times has blown the lid off just how deeply JPMorgan Chase enabled Jeffrey Epstein for years. It's now the focus of a national news, including Nicole Wallace's Deadline White House. Let's break it down. Epstein wasn't just another client. He was a gold mine for JPMorgan, moving over $1 billion through the bank's accounts across 15 years. Internal emails show top executives called him too valuable to lose, even as red flags piled up. In other words, profit mattered more than justice. Red flags ignored. Compliance officers raised alarms again and again. Epstein was pulling out stacks of cash, $40,000 to $80,000 at a time, nearly $750,000 in a single year. He was wiring money to young women and associates in patterns that screamed recruitment and payoff. But instead of reporting him to authorities, JPMorgan leadership repeatedly looked the other way. The executives involved. Jess Daly, one of the bank's top executives, exchanged hundreds of emails with Epstein, some with creepy coded language. Even JPMorgan's general counsel warned internally that Epstein should be cut off. But those warnings were ignored. Why? Because Epstein opened doors to billionaires, power brokers, and politicians. Greed. Ugh. Culture of complicity. The emails paint a chilling picture of the bank's culture. When Epstein's crimes were making headlines, executives actually joked about it. One quipped that Epstein was shaken. Another joked about how age gaps in marriages would fit in well with Jeffrey. This wasn't ignorance. This was willful blindness. And it came from the very top. Makes you kind of wonder how many others are there, right?
The nation's biggest bank provided financial resources to Jeffrey Epstein for years, ignoring red flags about his activities all along the way. We reviewed about 13,000 legal documents and other filings to find out why this relationship went on for so long. When he came to the bank around 1998, he was the financial advisor to billionaires. Jess Daly, who was a top banker at JPMorgan for many years, basically became a very close friend of Jeffrey Epstein. In total, there were roughly 130 some odd accounts tied to Epstein. His accounts were worth a lot of money for the bank, but also there were these very large cash withdrawals, one as large as $175,000. When you have a client taking out this kind of money, someone should say, wait a minute, whoa, what's going on here? But this isn't just like a private client with lots of money. This is also someone who can do things for the bank if need be. There was this deal put together to buy a hedge fund called Highbridge. And Epstein sort of plays like a middleman in this deal. He got a $15 million fee, and it sort of cemented his value. 2005 becomes a pivotal year. Down in Florida, the parents of a 14-year-old girl file a police complaint saying Epstein sexually abused their daughter. At this point in time already, he withdrew about $1.7 million from the bank. Staley vouches for Epstein mainly by saying, look, it's outrageous to think that he'd be with teenage girls. By 2008, Epstein pleads guilty to a single charge of soliciting prostitution for a teenage girl. So the bank obviously has a quandary here. No one wants to buck Staley, so he ends up staying. Epstein is pleading guilty. He's still essentially running his sex trafficking operation. Wire transfers are still going through the bank. There's still cash withdrawals. The bank is still noticing them. By the end of 2010, Epstein is close to getting out of jail. Staley at this point is starting to be seen as the potential heir apparent to Jamie Dimon, the CEO. They extend an additional $50 million some odd in trading credits for Epstein. By 2011, the general counsel of the bank wanted to exit him. Epstein remains as a client. If you go to JPMorgan, they'll tell you it's only because of Staley. But also, if they felt strongly enough it was a reputational risk, they could have escalated it. In 2012, there's a clear falling out between Staley and Dimon, and eventually he leaves the bank. It's pretty clear that Epstein is seeing his days are going to be numbered there. He's arrested in July 2019, and stories start to spill out into the media that internally some at the bank were always unhappy about Epstein, yet he stayed on as a client. But nothing really happens. Jamie Dimon, the CEO, says he doesn't recall he even knew of Epstein until 2019 when he was arrested. At the end of the day, what we found is that this was an institutional fail at JPMorgan.
After the conviction, even after Epstein's 2008 conviction for soliciting a minor, JPMorgan kept him as a client for years. They even opened accounts that were later used to pay off victims. The bank didn't finally cut ties until 2013, a full decade after serious allegations became public. The fallout. Fast forward to today. JPMorgan has paid out hundreds of millions in settlements, over $290 million, to Epstein's survivors, and another $75 million to the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Given this renewed attention on Jeffrey Epstein and his links with JPMorgan and the New York Times investigation, we've talked about this in the past and kind of the safeguards that JPMorgan has put in place. Do you feel like those are sufficient at this point in time?
Well, so first of all, as I've said before, we totally regret ever having done business with that man. But we always get better what we do. So when you talk about cyber safeguards or anti-money laundering or bad guys in the system, we're always trying to improve that. And it'll never be perfect because the bad guys are quite smart too about how they go about it. But we're among the best in the world. Doesn't mean we don't make mistakes.
They never admitted wrongdoing, but those numbers tell the story loud and clear. This scandal isn't just about Epstein. It's about how powerful institutions protect predators when money is involved. JPMorgan didn't traffic anyone themselves, but by choosing profit over accountability, they became enablers of one of the world's worst predators in modern history. What do you think? Should there be criminal accountability for the executives who ignored the red flags? Drop your thoughts in the comments box below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives. Thank you for watching till the end. And if you could drop a blue heart in the comments as well, so I know you watched till the end, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. And as always, be kind to yourself and be kind to others. And stay safe.